This was a scene I really liked a lot, actually. Another incident that was recounted to us by one of the people that was with Che in Bolivia, and was kind of quintessential Che to me, which is, his theory that if you're a revolutionary, it extends to sort of every aspect of your life. And he would do these little experiments to see whether or not people were really living up to the code that he felt a revolutionary should live up to. And so it's kind of a funny little scene. And, I ended up losing it for time, and I couldn't find the exact right place for it. But I always liked it. This is a scene that we talked about a lot in the writing and in post, because again it was a real incident in which Che chose not to fire upon these soldiers because they were asleep, and he had this whole conversation with his guys afterward because they didn't understand his position about how he didn't think it was fair. And I guess I ended up cutting it not just for length, but because I had a sense that we were already, no matter what we did, we were always going to be accused of sort of soft pedaling on Che, and I felt like, well, here's a scene that's just gonna tip us totally over into that category, that people will feel like we created this scene just to show that Che wasn't a bad guy, et cetera, et cetera. And the fact that it was true and that it actually happened would be irrelevant. So I ended up cutting it not only for length, but because I felt in a way that it showed him in too positive a light and was going to upset the balance of the movie a little bit. As it turns out, it didn't matter. People attacked us anyway. This was a subplot that ended up being removed, which had to do with Che allowing some of the men to go back to the main camp and see if they could get some supplies, among them medical supplies that would have been a help to Che. And he initially told them that he didn't want them to go back, and then he allowed them to go back. And so they went back to the main camp, which had been overrun by the army at that point, and they weren't able to bring back any supplies. But it was kind of an incredible mission. I mean, they left themselves with very little food, and it took them quite a while to do it. And Che was really proud of them for having done this and having survived, and made a big point of explaining to them how important a mission it was philosophically. But based on our conversations with the people that were there, the guys that actually went through with it, I think, felt as though the mission was a failure, even though they wanted to do it. They felt that since they didn't come back with supplies, that it was a failure. This was a little thing, a story that we had heard from one of the guys in the rebel group. One of the few times in which people laughed, I guess, at this point in the campaign. Things were pretty bad. And so when I heard this story, I thought, oh, we got to shoot this. It's kind of interesting. And it isn't often that one of the guys sort of attempts to take Che down a peg. And so I was really happy that we heard this story, and I was happy with the execution of the scene. But again, it felt like at this point in the film, things were sort of moving along at a certain pace, and it kind of stuck out a little bit. It didn't tonally, it kind of interrupted a flow that we had going, and so I ended up getting rid of it. But I liked it enough to put it in the deleted scenes of the DVD.
Ahora mira esto. Un cabrón, Eres un cabrón.